Hey everybody, welcome to Philo Dreams on NCBN TT. I'm Steve David, and I'm your host. Today we talk football like we always do every week, and I have a special for you today, viewers. I'm going to introduce them now. First, Anthony Sheerwood. Welcome to set, Anthony.
Good to be here, Steve. Good to be here. It's been a while.
It's been a while. What you've been doing? You've been doing good stuff, though. I'm reading and hearing about you.
Yeah, I have focused a lot on the grassroots aspect of things, and I have to say that has been very, very encouraging.
Good.
Yeah.
And I also have my old buddy, Anthony Clarke. Welcome to set, Anthony.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I've given you guys an opportunity to express yourself this morning, and we're going to open it up. Trinidad football, there's so much to talk about, and I can't get a better two people to do that with me. As usual, I want to know what you guys think. Are we going on the right road? Are we hearing a lot of rumors? We're not hearing it from the right people, and all of that, but still, we will just discuss things we heard and how you guys believe we need to move forward. And of course, our national team is to the forefront. And what is Clarke? We give Sheerwood a chance.
Yep, that's right.
Sheerwood, what do you think is going on with our national team, and what do you think we need to concentrate on to bring us on track?
Well, it's a good question, Steve, and the truth is that we're not sure what's happening with our national team. There's a lot of speculation, I think, recently about the appointment of a former Trinidad and Tobago legend. It's speculation, obviously no confirmation, so nobody really knows. At the moment, we have Derek King, and he's had 2 games previously in Honduras and one that was played in Tobago. And when looking at the games, I thought it was we saw some good things, but generally speaking, it's safe to say that the footballing public in Trinidad and Tobago wants more. Whether that's realistic or not, that is what they demand. So I think it's a precarious position because, like I said, there is nothing concrete in place at this point. And my hope is that somebody steps in and makes the right move for us, because this, whoever we choose, whether we retain Derek King or whether we bring somebody else in, this is a very, very important appointment.
We need to take over time doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely have to get it right.
All right, Tony.
My view is whoever comes in, it doesn't matter who it could be. Jose Mourinho, it could be Pep. It's not going to change.
Steve David?
It's not going to change.
Oh, okay, good.
Right? You have a talent pool that you can't do much with. Right? Sorry to say. And, right, you know my view on this. We are still looking for quick fixes. It took England when England... I don't know why we feel that we should be in World Cup contention every time World Cup comes around. We are Trinidad and Tobago. When England didn't make the World Cup, it took them 8 years to get back in a World Cup.
Yeah.
Why do we feel that we have to be there every time and we're trying to do quick fixes just to make it to get out in the first round? That makes no sense to me, right? My old friend, right, God rest his soul, had the right idea and was doing the right things. Develop a home of football, where football could be together. Start youth training again, right? People don't understand. Our era, Anthony, our under-16 team, you were below us. You had the Kerry Jamesons and Hudson Charles above us. Sure. That group carried football to 2007. Since then, we have had no proper structure of youth football coming up. That was the golden year that took football and ended with Shaka and all the old guys in 2007.
Yeah, but let me tell you why they're looking to make a push at the World Cup this year.
I know we have 4 places. I understand that.
4 plus 3 already,
Right,
and that's 7.
Right, but that is only for money for the Ttfa.
Okay.
Because we're not going to do anything. And what are they going to do with the money? Are they going to then say, okay, we're going to start really investing in youth development to have a longevity of structured football which is improving year after year? Or are they just going to be another JW and have everything for himself and build himself up? We had money in football here in Trinidad. The only person that made football own something was the man who they crucified, David John Williams. For 100 years in football, football had nothing. They were paying one person rent for every building he owned. What? And that person that they did that to, they crucify him. And that's the only thing football owns. And right now they're looking to sell it because the people who were getting rent before no longer getting the rent. Right? They want to lease it out. So my point is, we're talking about the performance. I don't want to know about performance. I don't want to make this World Cup. I want to be consecutive in World Cup. Start back with the youth program. That is what gave us success. Our under 16 team used to beat our senior team back in my time. We used to beat everybody older than us, even the national senior team. Make sure we have a proper development structure coming up from what is our plan for football, what is our way of playing football. Make sure that goes down into the schools because that's where our youth league comes from. We don't have a reserve league. Do away with this professional league. Because we're no longer getting football players from Miaro. And you have this group of 10 teams with 250 players we are choosing our national team from a pool of 250. Who ain't all that good? So when you talk in football, I'm very passionate about it. Because there's a way to be successful, and we are nowhere close to that.
Okay, so it's obviously you're not happy with us trying to make this World Cup?
We can try, but not at great expense. Don't say that you're going to bring another Ben Hacker, pay him this. Let us try. Let us try with our local guys if we have You know how much coaches get for trying?
No, wait, hear me out. So we have Derek King now as our head coach. You saying go with him until the World Cup? Until the World Cup?
Go with the cheapest option. That's what I'm saying.
Or you're going to use trying to save money?
Yes. Put the money in youth football.
But
not in the senior team.
But if we, and Sheerwood you in it too, if we can get to this World Cup, we can get a nice little sum to help our programs going forward. So why would you not take a chance to make that happen?
So if we can get in there with this present crop, and we have 7 chances, we're not supposed to be there. No coach from anywhere is going to come and wave a magic wand and make us get it.
Agreed. So what do we need to do?
Clarke makes a good point, The reality, Steve, is that we've been doing things a certain way in this country, and it seems like nothing has really changed. I look at the youth teams, for instance, right? Because the youth will give you a sense of what hopefully is to come in the future. Mm-hmm. And Clarke talks about the importance of the youth programs. The reality is that we are doing the same thing today that we were doing, I think, 20, 30 years ago, mm-hmm. when we were actually playing national under 14 or national under 16. And so for me, that says that something is wrong. Now, I will say I recall vividly when John Williams was at the helm of the Ttfa, he created a program. And I'm very familiar with that program just because I had one or two kids. Dante Gilbert, one or two others who are on the scene right now, Real Gill, Nathaniel James. Those kids, Jaron Pascal, those kids were part of that program. And it was one of the first times I could tell you that I genuinely was really impressed with a youth team in this country. We would have played them once or twice, and they seemed like they were doing something very, very different, right? But other than that little period, the reality is, if you look at the national teams today, under 20, under 17, there's an under 15 program, I think, or under 14 program. It literally is the same format that was happening 25, 30 years ago, probably beyond that. And so what it says to me is that at some point, somebody, whoever is geared with that responsibility, has to step in and really do some analysis using whatever you have to, whether it's data, history, and come up with something that puts us on the right pathway. Because, as Clarke said, I mean, you know, I think everybody's making a lot of noise about the fact that there are 3 teams already qualified for this World Cup, and this is the best chance that we have. Are we really close to Honduras right now?
No.
Are we close to Panama?
No.
Costa Rica? Jamaica? I mean, realistically speaking, right? So we could hold on to this notion that this is, yes, the best chance that we have for qualifying for a World Cup. But based on what's happening right now, it is difficult to be overly optimistic about that.
Totally agree with everything you guys said, but there's a but to this. The program that you're asking for, the new president and his group, we got to give them time to get this organized, while they still concentrate on our national push to make this World Cup. But we have to give them the time to get this thing running.
Yeah,
we can't expect it to happen overnight, like anything else.
Steve, if it was running, someone built a home of football with 7 football fields, a beach soccer field, this, and these same people, instead of jumping on board, were challenging to remove it. They don't want it running. Right? They don't want it running. As Tony said, that is when he was impressed that this youth team, he took one of the best coaches at that time. Instead of putting him on the senior team, Stuart Charles Fevrier, they put him to coach the under 15 team, because that was the focus of making sure that these guys come fundamentally correct coming up. So they had it. They're not going to do it.
All I'm saying is, Clarke,
you want to give them time to do what?
You give him
give him time to do what? The same thing that he was criticized, he and his cohorts were criticizing.
Right.
That was good. They criticized the home of football. So they criticized the program that David John Williams was doing. So if they criticize that, you're saying that they're going to come. That is what we are asking for. So you're saying that they're going to come now and re-implement what they criticize? They're not going to do it.
I am saying, he just get into the president's chair, see what happens, and then a year from now, let me finish. A year from now, you can say he got in and they did nothing. But let's see.
Steve, if during his campaign he presented nothing to say that he is going to do this, he has nothing to present. And that was my argument even during the campaign. What is this guy going to bring to the table?
Campaign is finished.
Yeah?
So now we're looking for results. Not for results, but for planning in how we're going to go about this. So our football now needs help, like what you have to say in bringing planning to
See,
in front of
right,
us.
my ears on the ground, right?
Huh? Yeah.
My ears on the ground.
Okay.
I know what is going on in the football.
You know
I know what's going on in the association.
All right.
Right?
Okay.
In terms of planning for football's future, nothing is happening.
Okay.
In terms, he made 2 trips already to FIFA. Jump on a plane, first class, heading to FIFA already. They already made 2 trips right to
And
Switzerland.
nothing happening. So
Right?
you know more than us.
Yeah,
My viewer needs to know that.
in the know. You're really on the ground,
And
Clarke.
if it is that is your focus, you have not called. Have you ever been called to a football stakeholders meeting, Steve? You are one of the owners. Have you been called since he has been elected? To a football stakeholders meeting to find out what, okay,
I am
nothing
talking
is
about-
going to happen.
I am talking about right now. They're trying to organize the Premier League.
Waste of time. Get rid of it.
You get rid of that.
Get rid of it.
Okay, that's another thing we put on the table. So you think we should let's switch to that? We should get rid of the Premier League and go back into the Pro League, or how should we?
Pro League, anything that you paying players right now to play, with that quality of football out there, stop paying them.
Sure, what do you think about that?
That's a drastic move Clarke is suggesting.
Yeah.
And I understand where it's coming from, because the truth is, we listen so many times at these little stories about players who are constantly complaining about the fact that sometimes they're not being paid, right? And so we have this aspiration to be a country that has a really, really good program, a professional program. But you really have to ask yourself, can we sustain professional football in this country, Steve? That is a big question.
Yeah, but more than that, Tony. Most of our players, we're not even getting players going into the real professional leagues anymore. That happened when we were amateurs.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I'll let you pick up right where you left off. Right? Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
Change our TV to the sound, boy, better stay calm, be cool.
Trinbago Heritage, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on NCBN TT Television Network.
Hi, I am Nigel. Quote Me Today is your daily motivational segment to start your day right. Join me Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. right here on NCBN. Remember, wake up with a smile. Today is your day.
Straight like why when we festin', we just bet God when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinkin', man is strong from hey, pop a bottle right now when we festin', we just bet God when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinkin', man is strong from hey, pop a bottle, push up your hand.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. For the ones now tuning in, you're looking at Field of Dreams on NCBN TT. I'm Steve David, the host, and with me is Anthony Sheerwood and Anthony Clarke as my two guests. Okay, Clarke, I said I would give you the opportunity to finish your attack on whatever. Anyhow, but let's not repeat anything. Let's see how we can move this forward because there's a lot to talk about. Go ahead.
Steve, if it is that this Pro League, Premier League, if this is the quality of players, at the end of the day, we want our national teams to perform at a different level. If this is the quality that I am paying people to produce, then I should put my money back in my pocket. It is not attractive. You're not bringing out the fans. You're playing to empty stadiums. Why am I paying people for that?
Solution.
Solution, go back to grassroots. They put the money back into the communities because that start back the zone constant. You have pulled away everything from the zonal football. You have no big zonal football against South Zone because put money back into the community football. Let the zones bring up the talent with training programs for the youths in the community and all these sort of things and get the talent growing again. You cannot have a plan for football with only 250, a pool of 250 players. With no youth programs regionally, throughout the country. You have to put money into that. Where you expect the zones to get the money to do that?
I totally agree with you. And I think that's where they need to start. Get zones back into football, create all the zones, 8, 10, whatever you want to, because right now they have maybe one playing, that's SFA, and start from there, build into that.
And that's where it has to start from. I understand that they want to get money right from FIFA by making the World Cup. Okay, if that's your goal, the cheapest way possible. And if you can't, it makes no sense bringing somebody back, paying them $50,000, $60,000 US dollars a month to coach the same bunch of players with the same talent pool. That person's not going to change anything much in the talent pool of the players that they will increase to a level of World Cup level. No, they're not.
So question for both of you. Don't try quick fix, right? So we need to start from scratch and do our thing. So we say zones. So we are saying then, and correct me if I'm wrong, don't bring any coach right now. Go with what we have to see whatever happens going through this World Cup happens, or we need to bring a coach to make a good push to get to the World Cup. And then if that don't happen, then we go to what our plan B is.
I think we have to be a little realistic in everything that we do as it relates to football right now. And I say that because one of the things that we simply cannot afford to do is go back into the kind of debt that we once had in this country. I mean, it was crippling, right? It prevented any of the presidents from effectively being able to do, maybe some of the things that they wanted to. And so whatever decisions we make at the moment have to be decisions based on, can we afford things? Realistically, what are our chances of getting to the World Cup? I know you listen to people in Trinidad and Tobago, and for some, there's a sense of optimism, maybe misplaced or misguided, right? And so I just think that, the people in charge have to really sit down and analyze every single move they make as it relates to, in particular, the national senior team right now. Either we get it right or we are going to be in a bad situation. Because we don't want to be, as Clarke said, we don't want to be in a situation where 6 months from now, 7 months from now, we're hearing the same old stories. Coach can't get paid. There's not enough money to pay for this team to travel to Curacao. You know, they have to take 3 or 4 connecting flights. You know how these stories go. And so I think, you know, what we need are just really strong people who are guided by reality, by evidence, by data, by a sense of the, you know, what the future should look like and how we are going to get there. But if we make rash decisions, then I think we're going to end up in the same place that we were 3 or 4 years ago, right?
See, what is our real objective? That is what Ttfa has to decide. Is our objective every 4 years to make the World Cup? That's the only objective we have? Or is our objective to ensure that we have a standard of football within the country, that every World Cup we are really
Have a chance.
have a chance?
True.
Right? What is our objective? To always, and you can see that when we have a break, we cannot continue playing. But the reason the Caribbean has reached us is because that's where we go to play our practice games during every year. You have to play opponents that are better than you. You can't, right? Look at the economies everywhere else. Our team doesn't go to Italy, Germany. We go to Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia to play our practice game, preparing for a World Cup. Right? So these teams would have come up because they play in a higher standard of football. They get in better competition, they're learning, while we continue playing these teams. What first and foremost the objective of the technical committee is to have what is the objective of us being here. Once they find that objective, they have to bring people on who could create a sustainable 3 to 5 year plan and continue to develop on that plan as we go on. We must always have a 3 to 5 year plan. Right? And part of that plan must include going back to zonal football, going back to the communities. That's where we got people from.
All right, so my question to each of you individually, if you were the president of the Ttfa now, in the state we're in, all conditions equal, what would you do? And what would you do?
You want me to start? That's a big question, to be honest with you. So there are a number of things that I would do right away. And I say this not necessarily knowing what the current association's plans are. It's possible that they have a lot of things planned. We're just not aware of it, right? So the first thing I would consider doing is updating the footballing stakeholders as to what's happening in the Ttfa occasionally. So maybe every 2 months, you know, we have a meeting, a press conference or something, and a layout specifically where we are in terms of some of the objectives that we've identified and what we can expect within the next 2 or 3 months. The second thing I would do is try to create genuine relationships with people in corporate Trinidad and Tobago who may have an affinity for football, right? Either I'm doing that myself or I am bringing together people who can assist with that. Clarke is a big-time businessman, maybe. Clarke is one of the guys that I'm bringing in. And Clarke may not be at this point ready to invest in Trinidad football, but he may be able to point me in the right direction. And so that is one of the committees I think that should be very, very active right now in our football. Very, very active. And when I say active, Steve, I'm talking about every week there are meetings scheduled with the big wigs in corporate Trinidad and Tobago, right? Every day or every quarter we hear about the massive sums of profit that some of our corporations in China, business entities, are declaring. And if some of that cannot be steered towards football, then it means that we're not selling the thing properly, right? The third thing I would do is make sure that we have something in place. Clarke talked about sustainability. We have something in place that ensures that we begin this process of developing the next generation of guys who will allow us to have some success in football. And not in one little tournament, not in one series of World Cup qualifying. For the next 15, 20 years, people feel like we really have a chance. So those are three things. And then there are other things. You have women's football, who I feel, when you talk to people involved in women's football, they feel ostracized. I think the Wolf League was recently postponed, if I'm not mistaken. That's something that I would address, because it's quite possible you could be getting more corporate support for the women's game than you are readily able to get for the men's side of things. So all of those areas are things that we have to look into.
But specifically, I want you to tell me before I go to Clarke on, are you going to take a chance to make this World Cup, or you're just going to forget it totally?
No, I mean, you have to give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Absolutely have to give it a shot. As Clarke says, whether we realistically have a chance, right, based on what we're seeing right now, do we realistically have a chance?
With who at helm?
I am over this notion, Steve, that there are saviors in football in the coaching. I'll be honest with you. It's almost like somebody saying, listen, Pep Guardiola is regarded as one of the top 3 coaches in world football, right? If you take Pep Guardiola and you all of a sudden you put him down there with Leicester City or Southampton, is he going to win the Premier League?
Right.
Probably not.
Correct.
He has everything that he needs in order to be successful at Man City. And that's the key. It's in today's world, football is resources. Nothing happens by chance anymore.
Right.
And even the right resources, with everything you have, sometimes it still doesn't work.
Sure.
Right, Manchester United, perfect example. Right, but going to your question, I will try to qualify for this World Cup, as I said, at the cheapest possible cost. For me, I would have left Angus there and brought a technical committee and allow that technical committee to guide him, a strong technical committee, right? Pull the ego back a little bit and then, listen, this is what we want you to, focus on. That's what I would have done, right? I'm not going, because I don't know why that's just, and semantics. You're going to look for a big coach with a big name, and they have the same talent pool to work with. And the talent pool is the talent pool, right?
Okay.
So, while trying to learn, my only objective of trying to make the World Cup, because I'm not going to go anywhere in the World Cup, I will be out in the first round, is to make that qualifying income so that I can do something. That's my only objective of doing that.
I mean, obviously, Clarke, qualifying for a World Cup or even having a great run in World Cup qualifying
will make some income.
Yeah, but it brings enthusiasm as well in the football. Guys get more amped up. Guys get, there's more interest generally.
So yes, I am, right? But not at a great cost to put me back into debt, right?
All right.
So continuing to answer your question on what I will do if I was president today, right? Because your first question is, and I have to hit you on this. You don't know what this president is going to do because he didn't say what he was going to do. And that is what you judge a president on. Prior to coming in, this is what I plan to do. That's what Ttfa John Williams said. He said, I'm going to build a home of football, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other. And he did everything he said he was going to do, and they hit him for 6.
Okay.
All right? So that is what you hold a president to based on what he says. I have voted you in because you said you're going to do this, that, and the other. You're just voting a person because they have a name. Right? It's based on their plans. No plan was presented. So my plan, as I said, it has been very consistent on this program. I would start with the community football and strong youth development in the communities. And my focus will be on youth leagues because that is where the crowds are going to come out to see. The crowds are going to see the youths. I will get income coming from. Nobody's going to see the seniors. Nobody's seeing senior football. I want to bring income in. That's where corporate sponsors will go. Republic Bank have a youth league. Scotia Bank have a youth league. The bank sponsoring youth leagues. And I not focusing on youth leagues as an association. And that is where the people put in their money. So that is what I will do. And I will start to build to ensure that we have sustainability coming back up.
Okay, question again. Should we bring back the old time days in that we have zones, participant zones, SFL, SFA, NFL, whatever, bring back the zones, have zonal football, bring back all that with the north-south and all that kind of stuff, and national players and national team is picked by a committee and not by a coach bringing the players he wants, his neighbor or somebody friend, and selecting the team on his own. I want you guys to think about that, right? And then when we come back, I want us to attack that. Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Hi, I am Nigel Kuti.
Hi, I'm Jemima Joseph.
And I'm Jovan Paul Edmond.
We are coming to a community near you. We're going to speak community talk. We want to hear your issues, your concerns, or what will improve your community.
Look out for us. We'll be coming soon, Nigel and myself, to your community to hear in whatever way we can do to improve your environment, be it employment, infrastructure, anything to improve your living as well as our own.
Catch us on NCBN TT television for Community Talk.
back, viewers. All right, so I have set the table for what we want to talk about here now. I want to know what you think about, I just had to say it, bring back what used to happen when football in Trinidad used to be run by the oil companies and the people, the Englishmen and all of that, and we had a good structure that we went with. Would you bring that back? And if not, why? Or if yes, why?
That's a bit. Listen, Steve. Here's my answer to any of these questions. I would spend a lot of time trying to figure out what will work. So you've suggested, for instance, the involvement of the oil companies, which by extension is corporates getting back involved in football. I mean, that is the one thing that we are all hoping to see. The problem, or I would say the obstacle, is that we've not figured out how to market it in such a way that we are getting the kind of buy-in, primarily from the spectators and the public in Trinidad and Tobago. So whoever is responsible for making those decisions have got to sit down and absolutely figure out what can we do in order to get people back into the stands, generally speaking, supporting football.
And the answer for that?
Yes. And a lot of I've heard all of the answers, Clarke, and a lot of it revolves around football in the communities, right? And my thing is this: if that is what it's going to take, then we need to be working towards that. And what I mean by working towards that, Steve, I mean we have to make sure that the infrastructure in the communities are properly set up. So you can't play professional, quote-unquote professional football on a recreational ground in Gonzales, for instance, where I grew up. I think a lot of people would come out, but you now have to figure out how can we derive income from this? You know, is the ground set up in such a way that we can, we can sell some merchandise, we can get some gate receipts. You have to, if that is one of the places where people are going to watch football in great numbers, then obviously you have to take the football there. But you have to get people who will allow you to create the infrastructure that allows you to do that.
So and to go further, Sheerwood, and you took it a little bit zonal, back to zonal football, back to North-South. You bring these things back or no? Or you go in a national league where Point has one team, or South has one team or two teams, North has 8 teams, East doesn't have any, West doesn't have any.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're saying that community football is where it's at, right? That is the future of football. That we want to see at some point, maybe in the future, a team from Sandy Grande, for instance, because we've recognized that Sandy Grande attracts a lot of people when football is being played. There are a lot of minor leagues that have throughout the country. Right. And you see it. You see the crowds that come out at some of these minor leagues. If evidence would suggest that that is where we're going to get big crowds, and that is where you have to take the football.
Balance.
The funny thing is that AC Port of Spain could play in the national stadium, as they did most recently. And Police, for instance, right? Police most recently against the Jamaican team in the CONCACAF tournament. And literally 5 minutes on a good day from their home venue to the national stadium, they may get, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people watching the game. If they play that same game in a barracks, then what you will see, at least is the perception that there is a lot of people in the barracks.
Right.
And so those are sort of the decisions that we need to make. Now somebody could say, well, listen, we can't play a game like that in the barracks, right? The infrastructure is not there, or CONCACAF has a standard, or whatever it is. And so my point is that if Police is playing football here locally, and they're getting people to come out and watch them in the barracks, then we need to do whatever we can to develop the barracks so that when these big games are playing, it's happening right there. And I can tell you, if they were playing that Jamaican team in the barracks, there would have been a lot of people in the barracks watching the game.
Right.
So that is the approach we have to take. It's not rocket science. A little bit of analysis, a little bit of data, and you make some decisions based on those things.
I can't wait to hear Clarke talk about this one. Clarke just
No,
anxious.
I'm in agreement with Anthony. I have always strongly said that the football should go back right to the community and zones. Right? You cannot expect to raise your quality of the country's football when you only concentrate on 250 people. 10 teams in a Premier League with 25 people on the roster, no reserve league, no investment in a youth league. It don't have those 10 Premier Leagues or Pro Leagues, don't have a youth league running and a reserve league running. It's just those 25 players from 10, 250 players. Right? And they have no way of getting any feeder into those teams to continue programming, right? So I will go back there. I will spend my money there. What you find will happen is that local businesses will start supporting local teams in the community. As a matter of fact, let me go this. The English Premier League is a local community league. Chelsea, Manchester. It's a local community league coming together. That's what it is. Why are we trying to change because we're seeing that we don't understand the roots of the thing. We're looking at the Premier League and we want to name it Premier League. But the roots of it is community. That's why those people come out. The community pays for season tickets all the time. That's why you have your fan, because my local team is playing. So that is what it is. We're looking at it TV and Premier League, but the roots of it is community. So that is where football is. Football is always community. We can't take it out of the community. If once you take it out of the community, you're uprooting it. And that is what is happening. So going back to your real question though, you asked a question, something about the selection. Right? The selection of the national team
and
of the
national
players.
team, yeah.
And you kind of inferred that the coach have ulterior motives. If you get a serious national coach and we do his selection correctly, I would leave the selection with the coach. First and foremost, if you have a national program and we have decided a way of play for Trinidad and Tobago, then the committee could assist. But that's not how it is now. The coach has his way that he wants to play. So if he has his way that he wants to play, he has to choose the players to fit the system that he wants to play. Right? If you have a national program and a way of playing a country like Brazil and so on and so forth, yeah, you can have the team help, the technical committee helping to choke. But if it's the coach coming, Pep comes, he has his way of playing. He wants to go around and see the players and say, nah, I want this one, I want that one. So there's, I see the difference right from my answer with if a technical committee helps pick the team. What could happen is that, like used to happen, like happened previously, was that the South Zone did their stuff and picked their South Zone team to represent South. And from that group, the national coach could have only picked players from who made that group of players.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
And I think that's a little bit before you guys' time. So let me explain. SFA, SFL, POSFL, whatever, they all come together and they have a selection committee with the coach. If the vote will go 4 against 4 from Steve, the coach has the final word on who he wants.
Oh, well, I don't know anything about that process.
But it's always, the coach is always involved. So they sit down like we sit down and we're talking about the players they see, and they even have a game before, possibles against probables. They play, and then after that they sit down and select the team.
All right, that's a nice method as well,
but I think
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, in the world of football today, Steve, that would be difficult. And I say that because if you watch our national team, for instance, a lot of these guys, or most of these guys, are based abroad. And so the truth of the matter is that a local committee may not necessarily have access to, to who's doing what out there, right? I agree with everything you've said as it relates to our committee. The technical committee, I think, should be a tremendous resource for any of the national team coaches, whether it's the women's team, the youth teams, right? But I always say that the notion that a coach or somebody involved in Trinidad and Tobago is unaware of the best talent in this country, to me, is down to laziness, right? The advantage we have in this country, or disadvantage, however you want to look at it, as opposed to maybe like a place like Mexico or America, is that we are a minute country. If I am one of the people geared with helping to do something in football, then my feeling is that there is no reason that in a month's time I shouldn't have been in Cedros watching what going on down there.
It had no league there, partner.
True. But what I'm saying, Clarke, is that
my point.
what it might have down there are two kids who may be the future.
But they ain't playing nowhere.
Well, but the point is, I want to find out myself. That's how I am. There's no reason I'm not in Sandy Grande.
It had no league there, partner.
True. Then maybe that could be the impetus for us starting something in those communities.
Yeah.
That's what you
There are a couple of guys.
That's exactly what we say.
So the point is, you cannot be somebody who is super passionate. We are passionate about this.
That's right.
Right? Super passionate. We existed in an era when there was a lot of success,
Correct.
a lot of joy in the football.
Correct.
People felt good about support. You would have experienced that in your time as well, right? And so when we see what's happening, it's troubling, quite frankly. But my point is that you can't be somebody working in football today, right? The people who are in charge or what have you, seeing what's going on, and you're sitting in an office, not really on the ground, finding out what needs to be done.
Tony, you know where they go? That's why they want a Premier League and a Pro League. They go to one place, they see 250 players. That's what I'm telling you. That's how it's picked.
Yeah.
It had no league. Right, remember, right, coach?
Clarke, do you really, but let me ask you something, Clarke. Again, going back to this question about Trinidad being as small as it is. Do you really believe, brother, if you are a man on the ground, doing your work, you're going wherever the football is being played, you really feel as a guy, for instance, in, let me call it the most remote,
but that's how the things used to be picked, Tony.
Guaya,
Do you know that?
right? But asking you, Clarke, do you really think in this day and age, there is an incredibly gifted guy over there who we would not be aware of?
Yeah, because it have
Somebody pro leagues.
Somebody.
Clarke, I was involved a little bit in secondary schools football, right? Not too long ago. And I could tell you, brother, that I was aware of one or two guys. We were based in San Fernando, or are based in San Fernando. But I could tell you, bro, who are the guys over in Sandy? I was in communication with two kids from Sandy Grande.
Right.
So the point is, if I am trying to create the best team that I possibly can, right? Then it means that my business is to make sure I know where these guys are.
Yeah, I understand the point.
You can't sit down. You cannot not be a guy passionate about this.
Correct. I understand what they say.
In one location, based in one location, and I
hear you. But the point I'm making is this: in terms of a national outlook on it, you have people who. All right, you find two guys who somebody say they're playing good in school football, but we're looking a little higher than that.
Absolutely.
And it have somebody who now come out of school, who was good in school, but they had to run and find a job.
Yeah.
And no league playing, so they can't come and play in the league there, so they slide straight out of football, and that talent just gone straight to waste. I remember back in the day, when we went to Miaro to play Miaro, I won the 16 with Ttfa first in Rock. And when we went down there, that's how Louis Castillo, I don't know if you all remember that name, Louis Castillo, from Miaro, one of the best defensive midfielders you could have ever found. Right. Louis was working, and we played Miaro. He come off work and come on the field in second half, and he was picked for that national team.
Yeah.
In 30 minutes, when this man come and he run straight from work, and Louis, still right, we are still in communication today. But we found that jewel because he was playing in the local league there. Nobody knew about Louis except the Miaro players, right? Issa was the coach, and Issa thought, hey, nah, boy, I could chisel this diamond, but make this diamond shine.
Yeah.
He saw the raw talent. So you still.
But that is the exception to the rule.
That's the exception, right? But my point is, because it had he continued playing football in his community. He can't come to San Fernando to play.
Sure.
He could play it in his community. And all right, if he play in his trade in his community, he still have his trade going.
Yeah.
That's why we need to go back to community football.
100%.
Because we could find those jewels again.
Well, it always depends, football is entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the players who have to do this for us.
Correct.
And so the players have to develop the talent, like you do in Sheerwood. You developing these kids that I see your programs all on Facebook or whatever people sending out. Very impressive.
Very impressive.
And
There's a present man we expect.
if we have enough people doing that and making this happen, we see them because I'm seeing them. I'm seeing you guys and I'm seeing them work and I'm seeing the talent and I'm seeing the effort they put into your drills and all of these kind of things. So if I was to recommend an academy, go to Sheerwood Academy because you are doing excellent. So I hope you have a lot of people doing that and getting all of these things going for us.
But there are people employed to figure those things out, Steve.
Right.
And so the question now is, are they doing their jobs?
Right.
Right?
So
are they really putting in these programs that we need to have throughout the entire country to develop our footballers?
Right. So it's tough, and the president's job is tough, and we all know that, and but we all have to chip in and make this happen. But I want to thank you guys for being here. We run out of time. We can do this again and again and again. But anyhow, Sheerwood, thank you. Keep up the good works. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Clarke, as usual, thank you so much as well, and keep the faith on our presidency. Viewers, thank you for tuning in every Tuesday night at 8. NCBN TT, thanks for the opportunity. We have a Facebook page, you can check us out. We have an email address, fieldofdreamtt@gmail.com, where you can drop us a line. This show is ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. That's Anthony Sheerwood. That's Anthony Clarke. Good night.